What's up YouTube, Jamie the Kid 00 here, back with a deck profile for you guys. I've dropped a few meta decks for a while. I'm trying to do a few different builds of a few decks that I've had lying around in my binder. I've come up with a couple of things, so I figured I'd profile them because I'm lacking in content at the moment. And I'm getting a new internet connection installed in the next couple of weeks, so hopefully I'll be able to get stuff uploaded without having to leave the phone uploading overnight. So yay! But yeah, as you guys can see in the title, this is going to be a deck profile for the Evol build that I've come up with. It's been testing okay. Against Insectors it has a really hard time, so this build is quite heavily geared versus the Insector matchup to give it kind of the best ability to actually go off, because the very fact that Evols really, unless you get your Evo Force play off, they require a turn to set up their plays and a turn of freedom. So there are quite a few cards in here that allow them another turn to kind of set up for things. Either way, let's get into the profile. I've got a bit of a throat ache, so I'm not going to explain too many things unless I really feel they need it. So, my apologies if I don't explain too much. To start the monster lineup off, we play Triple Westlow. It's a standard monster, absolutely amazing. The fact you can loop it with Zenmeister is awesome. We played 2 Najasho. 3 was too much. The very fact that we now have Evo variants means you don't have to play 3 Najasho. 2 is perfect because it's a card that you only really want when you need it and when you can do something with it. So, and space in this deck is really tight. There's 42 cards and there is no card in here that I would voluntarily take out for something else. So, it took a long time to come up with this build. Continuing on with the monsters, we have the toolbox in the form of 2 Darwinos. If you open Najasho and Evo Force, you can get 2 of these out and make any a level between 5 and 7 turn 1. So starting off with a Strike Bouncer or a Solder is always really great fun. So they're really awesome cards. Also, this card has an amazing play with Econ. If you set a Najasho and set an Econ, or play them during your turn, set a Najasho, activate Econ, tribute the Najasho, grab your opponent's monster. Your Najasho can then bring out Darwino, and as long as your opponent's monster is a 4 or a 3, the Darwino can bump it up to be equal level with it and make a free Tyrus. And you've stolen your opponent's monster, so it's really awesome that Darwino can modulate any level. So, gives you a really cool combo. Then we play the double Volcano. This card's absolutely amazing, really awful to have in hand, but the very fact that when you revive it with a Westlow or a Najasho, well, when you bring it out with a Westlow or a Najasho, it instantly revives another Evolsaur, so awesome card. Double Diplo, added MSTs to the deck, great card. Just the fact you can Najasho Evo Force or just Westlow 1 or 2 of these and pop back row before you eventually go into your bigger Evolzars. Really great card for card advantage. Then we played double Serato. 3 was too many, again there wasn't much room in here. So Serato at 2 is a really good number. Really good for card advantage, and it's okay to draw, but again it is an Evolsaur, and pretty much every Evolsaur in this deck you don't want to draw, and there are ways in this deck to put them back in the deck, so either way, that does it for the Evol monsters. The other monsters that this deck plays are Triple Effect Veiler. Again, I said this deck has a really horrible matchup against Insectors, and this also gives it a good matchup against things like Dino Rabbit as well. The Triple Veiler is really essential in a deck like this, where effects really do wreck it. And then the last monster is Gauze, because this deck, the only continuous cards this deck plays are Fiendish Chains, and Gauze is just too powerful to ignore. Moving on to the spell lineup. There are a lot of staples in here nonetheless, but there's Reborn, Dark Hole, Storm, Book, 2 Space Typhoons, and then we get into the more varied stuff in the form of double Forbidden Lance, dropping stuff. Because of the very fact this is an Evol deck, Evolsaurs, stuff that beats over stuff that you just want to keep alive, Evolzars like Largia where you don't want to burn the effect on a Dark Hole, Lances are really quite useful, and the fact that you have quite small monsters, you need an ability to get over bigger monsters, and I really like Forbidden Lance. It's incredibly versatile at the moment, so definitely one of the best cards. Another card which I really enjoy using is Double Enemy Controller. Enemy Controller in this deck is amazing because of the aforementioned Darwino play, the fact you can switch stuff into defense to attack over, use this to defend your monsters. If you activate a monster's effect and it gets Veiled, you can tribute it with Econ and the effect will still go off if it's part of the chain. So really awesome stuff like that. Then we play some 3 Elves in the form of Triple Evo Diversity, basically just your rota for all of your Evo cards. Well, Evo monsters, and then of course the amazing power card of the deck, Triple Evo Force. Opening this in a Najasho turn 1 gives you an incredible starting play, and just having this generally a lot of the time is This really is never a bad card as long as you have an Evol tile to use it with, which is sometimes the issue. But Evoforce is an incredible card. And that rounds off the spell lineup, where most of the power of the deck lies. Moving on to the traps, we have not Upstart, Good Goblin Housekeeping. This card is absolutely amazing in this deck. For those of you who don't know what it does, I will read this card. It does say, draw a number of cards from your deck equal to the number of Good Goblin Housekeeping cards in your graveyard plus 1. Select one card from your hand and return it to the bottom of your deck. So basically this card allows you to draw cards. The first initial activation will be a -1, but then you can start to +0 and then +1 as you go through these throughout the deck. But the main function of this is to return dead Evolsaurs that we're always going to be dead in your hand anyway back to the deck. So in a way it's not a -1 because it was a dead card anyway. So I've really enjoyed Good Goblin Housekeeping recently because it just recycles that one dead card in your hand with something better, really. Let's keep those there. Moving on through the traps, again referencing the Bad Insecta matchup. I play Double Chain. I was playing Deep Prisons, but the Deep Prisons were useless. So I feel like Double Chain is much better because it can also stop your opponent's monsters from attacking and give you a free turn to Zenmeister loop your Westlow. So just a good card overall. The deck plays one Torrential. A lot of the monsters on this deck you really want to keep on the field once you're going off. So you really can't afford to be nuking your field too often, so one Torrential was really all that's needed. Then, of course, we play the obligatory Solemn Brigade. That rounds off the main deck onto the extra. Now, the space in the extra is just as tight as the main, so there is only one rank 3 in the form of Wind Up Zenmeister, so Zen Mains. You really don't make that many 3s in the build, so Zen Mains is literally just in here as an emergency card more than anything else. You really will rarely make it, so I really felt like Leviair and Leviathan and things like that weren't necessary in the deck because you will rarely make them, and the space is much better spent on just other monsters. Continuing on to the 4s, we play one Utopia. One Utopia Ray because you play Econs and because you play Utopia, so it is far more valid. You will make this quite a lot. Zenmeister, easily one of the MVPs of the deck. The fact that you can flip Westlow face down and flip it back up, because of the very fact that if you set Westlow in a turn, I will demonstrate this because it's actually a really awesome combo. If you set Westlow in your turn, your opponent attacks into it, you get an Evolsaur out. Then you summon another one, make Zenmeister, use Zenmeister's effect, flip him face down. You haven't actually manually changed its battle position in your turn, so you flip him face up. Grab a Volcano, which can revive the material you just detached from Zenmeister, make a Lagia, or make something else, and then next turn, if you can protect this, you can even go ahead and flip it face down again with Zenmeister, and activate it again, get your second Volcano, get the other detached material, and just continue to plus off of the Zenmeister Westlow. But it requires quite a bit of protection to go off, but it's still really awesome. Then this deck has a problem with Spirit Reapers, so Photon Papal Imperative sorts that out. Then, of course, we have to play the obligatory Evolzars if we're playing an Evol deck, so we play double Lagia and double Dolka. That's really all the deck has room for, that's really all you need. Moving on to the 5s, we only play 2 5s in the form of Tyrus and Adreus. I didn't have the room for Zenmaier, and I felt like these cards covered Zenmaier's job enough, so it really wasn't necessary. And you have Diplos to blow up your opponent's back row, so you don't have to worry about that too much. Then on to the 6s, we play 2 of those as well. We play the 1 Solder and the 1 Photon Strike Bouncer. Evolzar Solder is an incredible card that is really kind of overlooked, but it's absolutely amazing in the meta right now. The only issue is getting it out, which is really quite difficult. And Strike Bouncer is always an amazing card. And then we play 2 7s in the form of Big Eye, because Big Eye is really cool. And Gaia Dragoon the Thunder Charger, because again we play Econ, and the fact that you can Econ a grade 5, well rank 5, and then just Gaia Dragoon over it, you get to keep it. So it's cool like that. Either way, guys, that has been an Evol deck profile that I came up with for you guys. I hope you've enjoyed. I really like this deck, but it's definitely not competitive enough to kind of keep up with things like Dino Rabbit. Dino Rabbit still does the job far better, but it gives a lot more variance, a lot more options, and it really is a good, fun deck for locals. So let me know what you think. Let me know any changes you would suggest. It's still a work in progress, so any advice is really quite appreciated. And I'll see you soon with another deck profile. Have a good one, guys. Bye.